Welcome to another night of Reddit stories to fall asleep to. Whether you're winding down after a long day or just looking for a peaceful escape, we've got a selection of stories that will ease your mind and carry you into the night. We'll dive into the world of heartfelt confessions, unexpected twists and touching moments from real people, just like you, who've shared their experiences on Reddit. These stories are meant to relax, entertain and soothe you into a calm state, perfect for drifting off into dreamland. So, settle in, get cozy, and let the stories take you on a gentle journey. Take a deep breath. Let go of the stress from today. It's time to relax. Let's get started. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband the real reason? Our son doesn't look like him. I never thought I'd write something like this. I never thought I'd be that person. The kind of person who sits down and types out their deepest shame and confusion into a Reddit box, hoping strangers on the internet can make sense of something I've kept buried for nearly a decade. But here I am, and I have no idea if I'm the villain or the victim, maybe both. My name is Lily, 32F. I've been married to my husband, Derek, 36M, for 11 years. We met when I was 19 and he was 23. He was charming, ambitious, and already working as a junior architect. I was a sophomore in college studying interior design. We met at a career fair, actually. He gave a talk about design synergy, and I was too shy to ask a question until after the presentation. I waited in line to speak to him, palms sweating, heart hammering, and asked something so awkward I don't even remember what it was. But he smiled, leaned in and said, "That's a really good question." I was hooked. He made me feel seen. I'd never felt that before. We started dating within a week. He was romantic in a way I'd never experienced. Notes tucked into my purse, playlists made just for me, surprise breakfasts. He was intense. I liked that. Until I didn't. About a year into our relationship, the possessiveness started. It began with comments about how short my skirts were. Then he didn't want me going out with my college friends. Then he told me he didn't like me talking to male classmates. I thought it was just his way of showing he cared, that he was scared to lose me. And when he proposed 6 months later, I said yes without hesitation. We got married in a whirlwind ceremony 2 months after my graduation. My family was concerned about how fast it was, but I convinced them it was love. They backed off. We moved into a beautiful apartment in the city. He kept moving up at his firm, and I got hired as an assistant at a boutique design studio. On the outside, we were the perfect couple. But things on the inside changed. Derek didn't like that I had male clients. He didn't like when I stayed late for presentations. He accused me of leading people on if I wore certain clothes. He didn't yell, he didn't hit, but the emotional manipulation was constant, subtle like tiny cuts that didn't bleed until you looked closely. I started losing pieces of myself. I gave up certain clients, I stopped going out. I told myself it was compromise. That's what marriage was, right? 2 years into our marriage, I met someone. His name was Carter, 33M. He was a client, a real estate developer with a modest smile and a quiet laugh. He wasn't flashy, but he saw me, really saw me. He asked how I came up with my design concepts. He asked about me, not my husband. And for the first time in years, I felt like a person again. It started as long talks after meetings, then coffee, then dinner. I tried to tell myself it was professional. It wasn't. I knew it wasn't. One night, after a brutal fight with Derek, over a text I got from a friend, I called Carter crying. He told me to come over. I did. What happened that night was wrong. I know that. I crossed a line. But I felt like I couldn't breathe in my own house anymore. I felt like I was disappearing. It was only one night. I swear that on everything. One night. But it changed everything. Because a month later, I found out I was pregnant. I was 24. Derek was thrilled. I pretended to be. He painted the nursery himself. He told everyone we were finally becoming a real family. He bought a Durwan dad mug and used it every morning. And I told myself the baby was his, that it had to be. The timelines were blurry, but I told my soul that it was Derek's. Because the alternative, I couldn't live with that. Our son, Ethan, was born in March. He had soft brown eyes, dark curls, and the tiniest dimples. Derek cried harder than I'd ever seen when he held him, called him his little man, and for a while I believed it too. But as Ethan grew, people started noticing. He doesn't look much like Derek, does he? Those dimples. Must be from your side, huh? You sure he's not adopted? That one was from a drunk uncle. At Thanksgiving. Derek brushed it off, laughed, said genes were weird, but I could see the doubt creeping in. Slowly, year by year, he started being colder toward Ethan, shorter-tempered, less engaged. He was never cruel, just detached, like he was trying to love a kid who didn't quite feel like his, and I was carrying this weight. Every single day I wanted to tell him. God, I wanted to tell him, but how could I destroy everything? What if it wasn't even true? What if Ethan was his? What if I ruined our family for nothing? Then this past Christmas, everything blew up. Ethan's school had a family tree project. He needed photos of grandparents, parents, family traits, etc. I helped him print pictures. He showed it to Derek with so much pride, and Derek lost it, not yelling, not screaming, but something inside him snapped. He took one look at the tree and walked out. Drove off, didn't come back until midnight. When I asked what was wrong, he looked at me and said, "I don't think he's mine, and I think you know that." I went cold. I asked why he'd say that. He said he did a secret paternity test, took Ethan for a DNA adventure kit last month, said it was just curiosity, said it was a match for me, but not for him. I couldn't lie anymore. I confessed everything, that it was one night. That I was scared, that I didn't want to betray him, I just needed to feel again, that I thought Ethan was his truly but couldn't be sure. He went absolutely still, just blank. Then he said, "Get out." He didn't yell. He didn't cry, just told me to pack a bag and leave, that he'd stay with Ethan, that I had 30 minutes. I left. I drove to a hotel and sat in the car, shaking. Since then, it's been a nightmare. He told both our families, told them I'd hidden the truth for 8 years, that I was a liar who let him raise another man's child. Most of them took his side. Even my own parents are furious with me. Carter, the man from all those years ago, doesn't even know about Ethan. I never told him. He's married now with 2 kids of his own. I thought about reaching out, but what would I even say? Derek says he's pursuing full custody, says I'm morally unfit to be Ethan's primary parent, that I don't deserve him. I still see Ethan on weekends, supervised by his aunt, Derek's sister. He doesn't know what's going on, just that Mommy had to go away for a little while. I cry every night, but here's the kicker. Now some friends are saying Derek's being too cruel. That yes, I messed up, but I've been Ethan's mother for 8 years. That I didn't know for sure, that I made a mistake, but it wasn't malicious. That he's using Ethan as a weapon now, and I don't know what's true anymore. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for hiding the truth about our son's paternity for 8 years, and only confessing after my husband confronted me with a test? Am I the a-hole for exposing my family's darkest secret at my sister's wedding and ruining everything? At 28F, am the youngest of 4 siblings. My sister Melissa, 32F, just got married 2 weeks ago in what was supposed to be the most beautiful fairy tale wedding of the decade. Instead, it ended with my parents sobbing, my sister screaming, her husband punching a wall and half the guests leaving early. All because of what I said. And now, I don't know if I did the right thing or if I've just permanently destroyed my entire family. Some context, I come from a very conservative, image-obsessed family. My father is a prominent local judge. My mother is a socialite, known for chairing charity events. Our house was always pristine. We were the perfect family to the outside world. A beautiful brick house matching outfits for Christmas cards, straight-A students, polite smiles. Inside, though, it was poison. My oldest brother, Daniel, now 38 Mem, left home at 18 and never came back. He cut all contact. I was only 8 at the time, so I didn't really understand it then. My parents told me he fell in with bad influences. Melissa repeated that for years. My second brother, Jonah, 34M, stayed close, but never talked about. Daniel. It became a family rule. Don't mention Daniel ever. As a kid, I had memories of Daniel being kind to me. He used to read me bedtime stories and sneak me cookies when Mum was dieting me at 7 years old, because she said my baby fat would make me unlovable. He was protective, loving. And then one day, he was just gone. When I turned 18 and left for college, I started poking around. I wanted to find Daniel. I eventually did, through Facebook. He was living in Seattle, working as a trauma nurse, married to a man named Kyle, and they had adopted a baby girl. I was shocked. Not because he was gay. I had long suspected it, but because no one had ever said a word. My family had erased him. I messaged him. He didn't respond right away. When he finally did, it was cautious, guarded. He said he was glad I was okay, but he didn't want to get involved in family toxicity again. I begged. Over time, we built a slow, tentative connection. I learned the truth in pieces. Daniel came out to my parents at 17. My mother slapped him. My father told him he'd rather have a dead son than a FG for a son. They gave him a choice, conversion therapy or leave and never come back. He left. Jonah was 13. Melissa was 15. Jonah cried and begged our parents not to kick him out. Melissa sided with our parents. She told Daniel he was disgusting, that he brought shame on the family, that she was glad he was leaving. He told me that was the last thing she ever said to him. I asked Melissa about it once when I was 20. She got cold fast, told me not to bring up that chapter, said Daniel made his choice, that he was selfish for putting his lifestyle above family, that our parents were just trying to protect us. It made me sick. I didn't say anything for years. I stayed close to Daniel in secret. I met his husband and daughter. I flew to Seattle once under the excuse of a girls' trip and spent the whole weekend with them. They were happy, real, warm in a way my childhood never was. Back home, the lie went on. My parents would brag about Melissa's latest promotions or Jonah's new car. When I mentioned I was applying to grad school out west, my dad said, "Just don't go to Seattle, that place is filthy." The irony nearly made me choke. Then came Melissa's engagement. Her fiancé, Evan, 35 is very old school, wealthy, family, big on values, the kind of guy who uses words like traditional a little too pointedly. I tried to warm up to him, but he always gave me weird vibes, especially when he started asking if I was dating anyone and making comments about how millennial women are too independent for their own good. The wedding planning began. Massive venue, 300 guests, dress fittings, flower debates, and of course the family photos. I asked Melissa once if Daniel would be invited. Her response? "Don't be ridiculous, Lily. That man doesn't exist. To us." Something in me broke. I started to spiral. I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Daniel's daughter, my niece, smiling as she showed me a drawing she made of her 2 dads. And all I could think was how my family had cast him out like trash. And now they were throwing a $100K wedding for the sister who helped exile him. I tried to reason with Melissa, told her Daniel had a family, that he was a good man, that maybe it was time. She cut me off. "If you bring him up again, you're out of the bridal party." So I shut up. I smiled through the bachelorette party, the dress fittings, the fake laughter, until the day of the wedding. Everything was perfect. White roses, golden cutlery, my parents beaming. Melissa looked like a magazine cover. And then came the speeches. I was the maid of honor. I was supposed to give a sweet 2-minute toast about sisterhood and love. I had it written. I'd rehearsed it. But when I stood up and saw my parents holding hands, when I saw Evan smirking at Melissa, like she was a prize he'd won, when I saw the massive framed family photo behind them with Daniel photoshopped out, I lost it. I put down the note, picked up the mic, and I told the truth. I had a whole speech prepared about love and loyalty, but I can't give it, because there's someone missing from this room, someone who should have been standing beside me today. My oldest brother, Daniel. The room went still, I went on. I told them Daniel was kicked out for being gay, that Melissa called him disgusting, that my parents erased him, that the picture behind them was edited to pretend he never existed. I said I wouldn't stay silent anymore. Then I said, "You toast to family, but you banished your own blood. You celebrate love, but only the kind that fits your narrow box. I'm done pretending this is normal." There were gasps. A few people clapped, mostly friends of mine. My mother stood up, face white. My father barked, "Sit down this instant!" Melissa shouted my name like she was physically in pain. I dropped the mic and walked out. The fallout was nuclear. Melissa didn't go on her honeymoon. Her in-laws were furious. Evan accused me of sabotaging their future. My parents told the extended family I had a breakdown. Jonah texted me saying he was proud, but also not ready to publicly side with me. But here's the twist. Daniel called me the next day. He'd seen a video, someone recorded it. He was crying. He said he'd thought no one in the family would ever speak his name again, that he never thought anyone would fight for him. He said he wants me to be his daughter's godmother. I've lost my parents, my sister, half my extended family. I don't know if I'll be invited to any future weddings, holidays, or events. My family says I'm selfish and attention-seeking, that I ruined Melissa's day to score woke points, but I feel lighter than I have in years, still. Reddit, I have to ask, am I the a-hole for exposing my family's secret? At my sister's wedding and ruining what was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. Am I the a-hole for destroying my sister's life after realizing I was supposed to be her? I know how that title sounds, melodramatic, unhinged, maybe even psychotic. But this is not some petty sibling rivalry. This is about identity, theft, and betrayal so deep that it cracked the ground I walk on. I didn't find out I was living someone else's life until I was 29, and by the time I pieced it together, it was too late to fix it without burning everything down. So that's exactly what I did, and I don't know if I was justified or if I became the villain in someone else's story. Let me start at the beginning, or rather the beginning I knew. I was raised by my Aunt Lydia. That's what I always called her. Aunt Lydia. She was cold, elegant, and lived in a small house filled with glass things I wasn't allowed to touch. She had a stiff smile and a sharper tone. I never knew my parents. The story I was told was that they died in a car accident when I was 3. Lydia was their only sibling, my mom's sister, and she'd taken me in as her sacred duty. She was not a loving woman, she wasn't abusive, but she wasn't affectionate. I was clothed, fed, sent to school, but hugs were rare and praise was practically non-existent. If I cried, she'd say, "Life is hard, you'll learn." Still, I made do. I became the quiet kid, the one who drew in the corner, who read books. No one else liked, who didn't get invited to sleepovers. I always felt detached, like I was watching my own life through glass. There were no family photos in Lydia's house, none. When I asked about baby pictures, she said, "We lost them in the fire." I didn't remember a fire. I didn't remember anything before living with her. When I was 13, I asked if I could visit my parents' graves. She paused for a long time and said, "They were cremated. Their ashes were scattered." She never said where. In college, I legally changed my last name to hers. I had no connection to the one I was born with, and she didn't fight it. I thought, that was strange. She just said, "Do what you must." Life went on. I became an illustrator, freelance mostly, lived alone, dated casually, still felt like I didn't quite belong anywhere. I chalked it up to trauma, to being raised by someone who never really wanted me. Then everything changed last November. I got a Facebook message from a woman named Nina Vassell. The name meant nothing to me. The message said, "Hi, I'm sorry to message you like this, but I think we might be related. Can you talk?" At first I ignored it. Seemed like spam. But she messaged again, then sent a photo. It was a picture of me. Except it wasn't. It was a girl who looked exactly like me, identical, standing beside Nina and another man. The girl was smiling. I looked frozen, I responded. We agreed to meet. Nina was about 55, warm but nervous, like someone trying not to spook a wild animal. We met at a coffee shop downtown. She bought me tea and sat across from me, hands trembling. Then she said the Words that detonated my reality. You're my niece. Your name is Anna Vassell. You disappeared when you were 3. I laughed, out loud, told her she had the wrong person. She pulled out another photo, and this one older. Me as a toddler, in a blue dress, sitting in a man's lap. The man was the same from the earlier photo. The background was a living room I didn't recognize. But the child was undeniably me, except it wasn't. It was her. The girl from the other photo, my double. I asked what she meant. She said her brother, her twin brother Isaac, had twin daughters. Me and my sister, Clara, we were born premature. Our mother died during childbirth. Isaac was a mess, but he loved us, raised us alone for 3 years, until one day he didn't come home from work. The story goes like this. Isaac Vassell dropped his daughters off at daycare one morning. He worked construction. That day he never came back. Police said it looked like a mugging. His car was found. In a parking lot 2 towns over, keys still in the ignition. His body was never found. It was 1998. When he disappeared, the family tried to find us, me and Clara, but we were gone. The daycare said an aunt had come to get us. There was no record of who. Just a name on the log, L. Vassell. Lydia. I was shaking. Told Nina she had to be mistaken. I'd never had a sister, never heard of Clara. She pulled out a third photo, a missing persons poster. 2 toddlers, both of us, Anna and Clara Vassell. Last seen December 12th, 1998. Believed abducted. My stomach dropped. Nina said they found Clara in 2011, living with a foster family in Oregon. She'd bounced through the system for years. She had no memory of her early life. Just trauma. They only realized who she was because of a DNA match. On a commercial ancestry site, I whispered, "So why didn't anyone find me?" She looked down. We didn't know where to look until now. I left. I ran out of the coffee shop and threw up in an alley. The next day I ordered a DNA kit. 3 weeks later the results came back. Nina was my aunt. Clara was my twin. I confronted Lydia. She didn't deny it. She sat me down, poured herself a glass of wine and said, "So they found you." I was trembling. "What did you do?" Her answer. "I saved you." She claimed my father was a junkie, that he owed money, that his death wasn't a mugging, it was a hit. She said she knew the children wouldn't be safe, so she took me. Left Clara. Claimed she only had resources for 1 child. Said she picked me because I was the quiet one. She thought she could give me a better life. That the system would chew us up otherwise. I screamed, cried, threw the wineglass against the wall, asked why she didn't tell me, why she let me grow up thinking I was alone. She said, "Because you were better off not knowing." I left. I haven't seen her since. Then came the next earthquake, meeting Clara. It was like looking into a mirror, but one where the reflection lived a different life. She was rougher, sharper, with scars I couldn't see but could feel. She hugged me like she'd been waiting her whole life to breathe. She sobbed. I did too. We started meeting regularly. She wanted to know everything about me. What I liked, what I remembered, what our father was like. I had no answers. I wanted to know what her life had been. Foster homes, abuse, couch surfing, years of feeling like she didn't belong anywhere. She told me once, "I used to think I'd made you up. Made like you were a dream, now here you are." We started to get close, too close maybe. She asked to move in, said she wanted to make up for lost time. I said yes. That's when things got weird. She wore my clothes, dyed her hair like mine, started copying my makeup. Called herself Anna once, laughed it off. I didn't. Then she made a comment one night. "Funny how you got the soft life, and I got hell. Almost like you stole it." I said, "I didn't ask for this." She smiled. "Didn't you?" She got a tattoo to match one of mine, started telling people we were the same. She started dating my ex, the one I still wasn't over. Then she found Lydia, visited her, said she wanted to understand her side. Came back with a box of old things, toys, photos, drawings. Some were mine. Some weren't. She wouldn't say which was which. Then she said she wanted her name. Back, said I wasn't Anna. She was. We fought, screamed. She said, You've been living my life. I'm just taking it back." She moved out. 2 weeks later, my bank flagged suspicious activity. Credit cards opened in my name. Accounts drained. Someone had used my ID at a clinic. I confronted her. She laughed. Said, "Maybe I just thought we could share." I pressed charges. She was arrested. Nina begged me to drop it, said Clara was fragile, that she'd been through enough. But I didn't, because I wasn't going to let her become me. Then Lydia died. Stroke. No warning. I didn't cry. Her will left everything to me. But she'd added a handwritten note. "I did what I thought was right. I chose you, I gave you a chance. I loved you the only way I could." Clara wasn't mentioned. Now my family is torn apart. Nina won't speak to me. Clara's in jail, and I keep asking myself, did I steal her life, or did Lydia? And when I reclaimed it, did I go too far? So tell me, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for pressing charges against my twin and exposing the truth about our past? Or was I just trying to find out who I really was before someone else decided for me, again? Am I the a-hole for confronting my entire family at my wedding, after I discovered I'm not who I thought I was, and exposing the secret? They spent 28 years hiding. I'm 28F. Going to start this story at the end because I don't know how else to say it. I ruined my own wedding. Not a drunk speech or a runaway bride moment. I destroyed it. Set fire to everything, metaphorically, and maybe even literally, depending on who you ask. There are people who may never speak to me again after what I did. Some might say I humiliated myself. Others think I finally said what no one else had the guts to. The truth is, I don't know anymore. I only know that I can't sleep. Can't think, and can't look in a mirror without seeing a stranger. Let me back up. I grew up in what most people would call a good family. My parents were married for 35 years. My dad owned a small but steady plumbing business. My mom was a high school English teacher. We were middle class, stable, boring in the way people envy. I was their only child, raised in a quiet Connecticut suburb full of sidewalks and neighborhood potlucks. Our house had yellow shutters and a picket fence. You get the picture. I had a happy childhood, or at least I thought I did. I wasn't spoiled, but I was deeply loved. Birthday parties with handmade cakes, summer road trips. My mum saved every drawing I ever made, and my dad showed up to every school recital with flowers from our garden. We weren't perfect, but we were close. Then I met Jason, 30M, in grad school. He was steady, kind, and gentle in a way that made me feel safe. He worked in non-profit housing, had a goofy laugh, and made me feel like the only person in the room. We dated for 4 years, before he proposed during a picnic at the lake we first kissed at. I said yes before he could finish asking, the kind of story you think ends in happily ever after. The cracks started appearing 6 months before the wedding. It started when I needed my birth certificate to get a new passport. We were planning a honeymoon in Greece, and I'd misplaced my original. I asked my mom where it was. She froze visibly, then said, "Let me look through the files." 2 weeks passed. No birth certificate, I reminded her, and she snapped at me. "You're an adult, find it yourself." It was weird, but I was swamped with wedding planning and didn't think much of it. Eventually I requested a copy from the state. It arrived, but something was off. My legal name was correct, so was the hospital, but my mother's name was listed as Rebecca Jordan, not Margaret Wright. My father was listed as unknown. I thought it was a clerical error. Called the state office. Waited on hold for hours. No mistake, they said. That's the information they had on file from 1996. I confronted my mom. She turned pale and sat down slowly like her knees had given out. Then she said the words that shattered my world. "You're adopted, not legally, not through an agency." "Privately," she said. "It was complicated. A closed adoption. You were a favor." "A favor?" I demanded the truth. Screamed it, begged for it. Turns out Rebecca Jordan was my birth mother. She was 17, alone and addicted to heroin. She'd been in and out of juvie. She gave birth to me in a clinic, high, and tried to abandon me 2 days later. Somehow she knew someone who knew my mom, and my parents, desperate after multiple miscarriages, said they'd take me if the papers were handled quietly. So they paid her, Cash. No legal documentation aside from a falsified certificate filed later under maternal guardianship. It was a lie. My entire life was a lie. I was furious. I demanded to know why they never told me. My mom cried, said they wanted to protect me, that they were afraid I'd feel unloved, that they'd planned to tell me when I was older, but the timing never felt right, that they thought of me as theirs from the moment they held me. I said, but I wasn't. You bought me. My dad didn't say a word, just stared at his hands like they were someone else's. I spiraled. I started digging, looking for Rebecca. It wasn't hard. She died 7 years ago in a halfway house in Maine. Overdose. No other children. No real family. Just a string of rehab stints and a couple mugshots. I found one photo of her. She looked like me, the same eyes, same nose. I stared at it until I memorized her face. I didn't tell Jason any of this. I couldn't. I didn't know how. I was drowning in the weight of it. Then 3 weeks before the wedding, I found something else, a shoebox in my parents' attic. Inside were letters, dozens, written by Rebecca, addressed to me. She wrote them for 10 years, every birthday, every Christmas, never sent. Some were sweet, some were rambling, some were clearly written while high. But they all ended the same. Philance, I'm sorry, I love you, I'm trying. She hadn't abandoned me. She'd wanted me back. My parents never told me. They kept them, hid them, buried her, buried me. I went numb. The day of the wedding came. Everyone was there. My extended family, Jason's, friends, co-workers. My parents sat in the front row, smiling like nothing was wrong. I made it through the vows, through the kiss, through the cake cutting. Then, during the speeches, Jason's best friend toasted our strong families and our loving upbringings. Something inside me snapped. I took the mic. I told everyone the truth. Every brutal piece. How I wasn't. Who I thought I was. How my parents bought me, lied to me, stole my letters, erased my mother. I told them about Rebecca, her death, her face, how I never got to meet her because of the people smiling in the front row. I said, "You don't know me, none of you do, and I don't either." The room went dead silent. My mother burst into tears. My father stood up and walked out. Jason tried to take the mic from me. I pulled away. I looked at him and said, "I love you, but I don't know if I exist right now." Then I left. I didn't even take off the dress. I drove to a hotel and didn't sleep for 2 days. Jason came once, knocked, sat outside the door crying. I didn't let him in. Now it's been 6 weeks. We haven't spoken. I'm in therapy. I quit my job, moved to a rental 2 states away. My parents have written emails, long, groveling ones. I haven't replied. Part of me wants to scream at them. Part of me still wants my mom, but I can't. Go back. I don't know how to exist in a life built on erasure, and I keep thinking, was I the villain? Was it cruel to blow everything up? Should I have just all gotten married, dealt with it later, let them live in the lie? Or did I finally reclaim something that was stolen from me? So Reddit, am I the a-hole for detonating my wedding? Hand exposing a 28-year-old secret? Or did I finally become the person I was always meant to be? Am I the a-hole for burning my family's inheritance out of spite, and finally revealing what my golden child sister did to me? I, 31F, was always the smart one, but never the favorite. That title belonged to my older sister Emily, 36F, from the moment she was born, and she wore it like a crown made of diamonds. Beautiful, graceful, charming. She was everything my parents ever wanted in a daughter. I wasn't a background noise, useful, a fixer, the one who got straight A's but never praise, who won debate trophies only to hear, "Did you thank the judges properly?" The one who could never, ever outshine Emily. Growing up, my mother had this phrase, "My family is duty, you support your sister. You don't complain, you make it work." And I believed it. God help me. I believed it for too long. We grew up in an old southern house that had been in our family for generations. High ceilings, creaky floors, antique everything. The kind of place that smells like mothballs and secrets. My grandmother left it to my father, and he swore it would stay in the family forever. The legacy, he called it. The house will be yours, girls, when we're gone, to share. Only I should have known nothing was ever shared with Emily. Everything always ended up hers, even things that started as mine. Like Nathan. We met in college. He was quiet, kind, introverted. An engineering major who loved old books and walked me to class every day. I brought him home sophomore year for Thanksgiving. He was nervous, shy around my parents. Emily was home too. And the moment she laid eyes on him, I felt a shift. Like gravity had changed directions. She flirted. At first, subtly, then more boldly. She wore shorter dresses around the house, laughed too loudly at his jokes. "Oh, I'm just being friendly," she told me when I confronted her. "You're being insecure." Nathan swore he loved me. I believed him. Until the day I found them kissing in the kitchen. I confronted them, screamed, cried. My parents told me to calm down, that I was overreacting, that people make mistakes. Emily said, "You were always too boring for someone like him." She married him 2 years later. I cut ties, moved to New York, worked 80-hour weeks, threw myself into tech startups, and never looked back. Didn't go to their wedding, didn't send cards, didn't return calls. My parents said I was being dramatic, that I needed to grow up, that forgiveness is love. I told them forgiveness was for people who got apologies. And I never got one. Time passed, I built a life. A condo, promotions, a dog, therapy. But some wounds don't scab, they stay raw under the skin. Then last year my dad got sick. Pancreatic cancer, fast and brutal. I flew home despite everything. Sat in hospital rooms. Arranged hospice. Emily came in once a day in designer dresses, cried crocodile tears and left before the night shift. I stayed. I wiped his mouth, held his hand. Was there when he died. When the will was read, I was numb. I already knew what was coming. He left the house, our shared legacy, solely to Emily. My name wasn't even mentioned. She smiled. When the lawyer read it, I'll never forget that smile, like victory. I stood up, walked out, and didn't speak to any of them for months. Then came the phone call. 6 weeks ago, Emily rang me in hysterics. She had taken out a loan using the house as collateral, bad investments. The market crashed, she was in trouble. She begged me to come help her figure things out, said she needed my brilliant brain. I don't know why I went. Closure, maybe, or some twisted hope of justice. But I flew down. The house was falling apart, peeling wallpaper, mold. She'd let it rot. The same house my great-grandmother scrubbed on her hands and knees now reeked of mildew and desperation. She cried, said she was sorry, said she missed me. That I was the only one who ever really got things done. And like a fool I helped. I called banks, lawyers, dug through documents. I found a loophole, one Emily hadn't noticed. The house wasn't fully in her name. The deed had a provision, a joint ownership clause that wasn't executed unless she maintained the property's heritage status, which required specific preservation conditions. She'd broken them. Let parts of the house be remodeled, illegally, which meant the ownership could revert to me. I had leverage. I didn't tell her at first. I just waited. Thought about all the times she took what was mine, about Nathan, about my parents calling me difficult for not faking a smile. And then, I checked public records. Nathan had filed for divorce. He'd left her. It felt like the universe was finally tilting in my favor, so I made my move. I hired a lawyer, triggered the clause, initiated proceedings to transfer the house into my name. It wasn't hard. She'd violated the terms so thoroughly, it was practically a default. She was furious, screamed at me, called me a traitor, said I was destroying what little family we had left. I told her, "You already destroyed it when you kissed him in our mother's kitchen." She sobbed, said she needed the house, that it was all she had, that she'd lose custody of her kids without a stable home. And for a moment, I cracked. Then I remembered, she never gave me a second thought when she stole my first love and let me rot in silence for years. So I sold the house. To a developer. It's getting torn down next month. I didn't keep the money. I donated every cent to LGBTQ+ youth charities and domestic violence shelters. I told Emily. Sent her the receipt. She called me a monster. My mother sent me an email calling me vindictive and possessed. Said I needed Jesus. Said I'd brought shame on the family. Jonah, yes, the same Jonah from the previous story, told me quietly he thought I was brave but that he couldn't say it publicly. Typical. Now I'm alone. Again. I don't know if I'll be invited to future holidays or if anyone will. Speak my name without venom, but I sleep. For the first time in years, I sleep. Still, I can't stop wondering. I burned a legacy. I exiled my sister. I spat on the family name. So tell me, Reddit, am I the a-hole for destroying my family's inheritance just to get revenge, or was I finally doing what they all deserved? Here is a continuation of the last story, but told from a new perspective, the ex-fiancé Jeremy's, in the same Reddit-style confessional format. It expands on the drama, adds deeper betrayal, and hits a new level of emotional devastation. I, the a-hole for destroying my own wedding. After finding out my fiancé's dad was sleeping with my mom, I don't even know where to start. I, 27 Mim, was supposed to be married 3 weeks ago to Natalie, 25F, the love of my life since I was 21. We met when I was a TA during her final year of undergrad, and yes, it was ethical. We started dating after the semester ended. She was brilliant, driven, a little anxious, but always funny, always kind. We moved in together after a year, got engaged after 2, and spent almost 2 years planning our dream wedding. Everything was ready. Everything was perfect, or so I thought. My family and Natalie's got along great. Her dad, Greg, 46M, was like a second father to me. My own dad is more of a workaholic type, but Greg actually talked to me about things. When I was doubting myself, before proposing, Greg told me I was ready. When I considered switching schools for a job, Greg helped me write the pros and cons list. He took me fishing, let me borrow his tools when Natalie and I got our first apartment. He told me, and I quote, "You're the kind of man I wish I had as a son. It makes me sick now." The morning of the wedding, I was helping my mum, Dana, 48F, with a technical thing on her iPad. She's not great with tech, and she was trying to play a slideshow she made with pictures of me and Natalie as kids. I opened her Photos app to look for the file. I saw a folder labeled Greg Notes. At first, I thought it was related to the wedding. Maybe she had notes from Greg's toast or something, but something felt off. I opened it. There were screenshots, messages, emails, a few pictures. I couldn't breathe. Messages like, "I can still smell your perfume from yesterday. You don't know what you do to me. Remember that trip to Denver, that hotel? There were timestamps 4 years ago, 3 years ago, some this year." I clicked a voicemail. Greg's voice, whispering something about missing her mouth and not being able to look his wife in the eyes. I couldn't stop shaking. I went outside to throw up. I almost didn't believe it. But I remembered things. Little things. Greg and Mom staying behind to clean up at a barbecue when everyone else went home. Her getting texts and smiling, then saying it was a friend from the PTA. Greg showing up to pick me up. When I wasn't expecting him, he'd been with her. I put it all together. All of it. And then I sat in a room for 2 hours staring at the wall while getting ready for my wedding, smiling for the camera, hugging family, listening to vows I had written weeks ago about honesty and trust and being surrounded by love. I was in a fucking nightmare. I told myself I could confront him after, that I wouldn't ruin it for Natalie. But watching Greg walk her down the aisle, watching him kiss her cheek, I felt rage like I'd never felt in my life. I couldn't hold it in. During the reception, I cracked. I found my mum sobbing in the bathroom. I left before she could explain. I went to the parking lot and found Greg laughing with someone like nothing happened. And I lost it. I screamed at him, told him I knew, shoved him. I don't remember what I said. People say I was yelling all sorts of things. I remember Natalie running up, her face when I said it. When I screamed that he'd been sleeping with my mum, Greg said, "It was a long time ago." Like that made it okay. Like I hadn't just read a message from this March. Natalie collapsed. Everything after, that is a blur. Her mom came out. More people followed. I left with my dad and brother. Natalie didn't call me, I didn't call her, I wanted to, but I couldn't even look in a mirror without gagging. 2 days later, Natalie came to my apartment. She looked like a ghost. She told me what her mom had said, confirmed it, that it wasn't just the past. That Greg had continued, and then she told me she was ending it. She said she still loved me, but she couldn't live in the shadow of that betrayal, that Greg would always be the man who ruined our lives, that she would never look at me and not see. That night I cried, she cried, we held each other. Then she left. I don't blame her, I really don't. But now people are blaming me for overreacting, saying I could have just waited until the next day, that I embarrassed Natalie, that I stole her wedding day. My mom's side of the family is split. Some think I should forgive her. Others say I should cut her out forever. She says she didn't think it counted as cheating since she and Greg never had full-on sex after the first year, just emotional relapses. I haven't responded to her once. But Natalie's dad? He sent me a handwritten letter. In it, he says, he never meant to hurt me, that feelings are complicated, that he was going through things and Dana understood him. He ended it with, I hope one day you'll see this for the mistake it was and not let it take away your future. Like I'm the one letting it take away my future. So tell me, Reddit, am I the a-hole for blowing up my own wedding when I found out my fiancé's dad was sleeping with my mom? Am I the a-hole for exposing my wife's secret second family at our daughter's birthday party? I don't even know where to start. This doesn't feel real. I feel like my life has become one of those internet horror stories you read late at night thinking, thank God that's not me. But now it is, and I'm writing this because I truly don't know if I went too far or not far enough. I, 36 mm, have been married to my wife, Laura, 34F, for 12 years. We met in college, fell hard, got married straight out of graduation. She was always the social one, loud, funny, spontaneous. I'm more of the steady type. She used to joke I was her anchor, and she was my storm. I thought it was romantic. Looking back, maybe I was just blind. We have one daughter together, Elsie, 7F. She's our world. Smart, bubbly, obsessed with horses and Legos, the kind of kid that lights up every room. For years we talked about having more kids, but Laura kept pushing it off, said work was too crazy or she didn't feel ready. I respected it. I figured we had time. I had no idea what she was actually doing. So here's where it starts going off the rails. A few months ago, Laura started acting odd. She got super protective of her phone, wouldn't leave it on the charger in the kitchen like she used to. Started working late more often. She was moodier, snappier, and sometimes way too affectionate, like trying to overcompensate. I asked her if everything was okay. She said it was stress, that she was tired, overwhelmed, trying to be a good mom and employee and wife. I believed her. I didn't want to be the paranoid husband. I didn't want to be that guy. Then one night I woke up at 3 a.m. and she wasn't in bed. I walked downstairs and found her in the living room, whispering on her phone. She jumped when she saw me, like a teenager caught sneaking out. Said she couldn't sleep and was calling her coworker about a deadline. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't want to accuse her without proof. So I did something I'm not proud of. I installed a tracker on her phone. A friend of mine who works in IT helped me, said it was probably illegal, but I told him I needed to know. I only meant to do it for a day or two, just enough to ease my mind. What I found broke me. She wasn't working late. She was going to a house on the other side of town, a house I didn't recognize. She went there twice a week, sometimes more. I checked our bank records. There were purchases for toys, groceries, even diapers. But we don't have babies. Confronted her. She lied, said it was her friend's place, said she was helping a single mom who was struggling. That she didn't tell me because she knew I'd worry about her taking on too much. But I'd had enough. I took a half day off work, drove to the house, and waited. And I watched as she pulled up, took a toddler out of the back seat, and was greeted at the door by a man I'd never seen before. They kissed, I took pictures. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone steady. I followed her twice more to make sure I wasn't crazy. Same thing, same man, same house. A boy about 5 years old, a toddler, her other children, her second fucking family. Didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling while she slept beside me, dead to the world. I didn't know what to do. Divorce, pack her bags, tell our daughter, but here's where I might be the a-hole. Because I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I waited for our daughter's birthday party. I know how that sounds. I know it sounds cruel. But I wanted everyone to know. I didn't want her to control the narrative. I didn't want her to lie to her parents, her friends, to me again, and pretend she was just a good mom who made a mistake. So I invited everyone, her parents, mine, all our mutual friends, even her boss, who she insisted come because Elsie adored her. I waited until after the cake, after the presents, when everyone was milling around and chatting. Then I stood up and said I had something to share. I had printed the photos, her kissing the guy, holding the kids, walking into the house. I held them up like evidence in a trial. People went dead silent. I said, "This is Laura, these are her other children, this is her second partner. For the last 3 years, my wife has been living a double life, pretending to be a devoted mother and spouse, while raising a second family in secret. If you're shocked, imagine how I feel." Her mom gasped. Her dad looked like he was about to have a stroke. My parents were frozen. Laura started screaming at me, saying I was humiliating her, ruining our daughter's birthday, destroying our family. I told her she already had destroyed it. She tried to grab the pictures from me. I didn't let her. I left with Elsie while she sobbed in the backyard, her parents trying to calm her down. Since then, it's been chaos. She's accused me of emotional abuse, said I traumatized our daughter. I didn't say a word in front of Elsie. She was inside with my sister during the reveal, said I could have handled it privately, that I was vengeful and cruel, that her situation was complicated, that she didn't mean to fall in love with someone else, that she felt trapped in our marriage and didn't know how to leave. But here's the kicker. Her second family didn't even know about me. The guy? He thought he was her only partner. He thought she was a single mom who just didn't want to move in too fast. I reached out to him. We talked. He's completely shattered. Said she told him I was her abusive ex, and Elsie was the product of a failed relationship she never talks about. So now he wants nothing to do with her either. He's fighting for custody of his kids. Laura's parents won't speak to her. She's moved in with her sister. And I've filed for full custody. I didn't do this to be spiteful. I did it because I wanted people to know the truth. I didn't want her to spin it into "we grew apart" or "we had issues." I didn't want her to erase me like she tried to erase her other partner. But some of our friends think I went too far. That even though she was awful, I shouldn't have weaponized our daughter's birthday. That I should have waited. That I embarrassed her in front of too many people. So, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for exposing my wife's secret second family at our daughter's birthday party? Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter the truth about why her wedding was ruined? I, 46F, am a mother of 3. Natalie, 25F, Cameron, 22me, and Piper, 17F. I've been married to my husband Greg, 49M, for 27 years. I thought we were solid, not perfect, but we'd survived 3 kids, job losses, house moves, health scares. We'd been through things. I genuinely thought we were growing old together, until everything fell apart 3 weeks ago at my oldest daughter's wedding. Natalie and her fiancé Jeremy, 27M, had been planning their wedding for almost 2 years. It was supposed to be the biggest, most beautiful day. They're both teachers, so not swimming in money, but we helped out a lot financially. Greg and I paid for most of the venue and catering, and Jeremy's parents handled the photography and some travel costs. Natalie handled the decorations and made a lot of DIY pieces. The whole thing was really personal and sweet. There were tears, laughter, dancing, all the things you expect, until everything came crashing down. Right after dinner and speeches, people started noticing something strange. Jeremy's mum was crying, but not in a happy way. I found her in the bathroom hyperventilating with her sister holding her. When I asked what was wrong, she just kept saying, "How could they lie to us like this? And how long has this been going on?" I still didn't know what she was talking about. Meanwhile, Jeremy was missing. So was Greg. I thought maybe Jeremy was just overwhelmed. He's a really sensitive guy. Greg's always been kind of a calming presence for him, like a second father. They got close fast when Natalie started dating him. Greg would take him to baseball games, invite him on fishing trips. I thought it was sweet. But then someone's teenage cousin came up to me and said, "Aren't they fighting in the parking lot?" I ran outside. I still didn't fully understand what was happening, but I followed the sounds of yelling around the corner of the venue, and there they were. Jeremy was screaming at Greg, red in the face, veins popping. Greg was trying to calm him down, arms up, but Jeremy shoved him hard. Greg stumbled. Natalie came running up behind me barefoot, dress hitched up, mascara running. "What the hell is going on?" And then Jeremy screamed it. "You've been sleeping with my mum." Time stopped. I thought I'd misheard. I looked at Greg. He froze. Natalie gasped. People had followed us out by now. Guests, relatives, friends. There were maybe 40 people watching. No one said a word. And then Greg said it. It was a long time ago. Natalie collapsed. I found out the rest later when the dust started to settle. Apparently Greg and Jeremy's mother, Dana, had a brief affair 4 years ago. They met at a school fundraiser, started talking, things escalated. They kept it secret. Greg claimed it was emotional support during a rough patch in our marriage. Dana said she ended it when she realized it was getting too serious. They agreed never to tell anyone. But apparently Greg didn't just stop. He kept in touch, flirty messages, occasional catch-ups. Jeremy had no idea until he found old messages on his mum's iPad the morning of the wedding, searching for a video she had wanted to show him. He found a folder named Greg Notes. Inside were screenshots, emails, voicemails, some dated just 3 months ago. He held it together through the ceremony, through the photos, through the first dance. But by the time speeches rolled around, he cracked. Needless to say, the wedding was called off. People started leaving in confusion. Some thought it was a prank. Natalie locked herself in a dressing room and refused to come out. Jeremy disappeared with his dad and brother. Dana had a full-on panic attack. I was in shock. The next day, Natalie stayed with her best friend. Greg tried to act like he deserved some kind of award for coming clean. I kicked him out. Then came the part that makes me wonder if I went too far. A week later, Natalie came home. Quiet. Pale. She asked me if it was true. She hadn't spoken to Jeremy yet. She needed to know if there was any chance he misunderstood. Greg had texted her a long apology saying it wasn't what it looked like and he just got emotionally confused, and Dana took it the wrong way. She asked me point blank, "Did Dad cheat on you with Jeremy's mom?" And I said, yes. I told her the full truth, that Greg and Dana had a months-long affair, that they were careful, that it only ended because Dana felt guilty, that Greg never confessed until he got caught, that yes, he flirted with her again as recently as this spring, that I wasn't going to lie for him. Natalie broke down. Then she got up, packed a bag, drove to Jeremy's apartment. She told him what I told her, word for word. Jeremy's family had already pressured him to try to reconcile. They thought it was too much drama for something that happened before the engagement. But Natalie told him that if he ever forgave his mom, she'd understand, but she would never ever forgive her dad, that she couldn't trust a marriage built on that kind of betrayal, and that the worst part was how long it was hidden. That her dad was smiling in photos, helping with vows, walking her down the aisle while knowing what he'd done. They broke up. Jeremy left town to stay with relatives. Natalie has been a ghost of herself since then. She's depressed, withdrawn, and now Greg's side of the family, his sister, his mother, even his boss, are blaming me. They say I should have protected Natalie, that telling her destroyed her future, that I should have lied or softened the truth, that I made it worse by making it all about my pain. Even Greg has the audacity to say, you didn't have to tell her everything. You ruined her life just to punish me. But I disagree. I didn't ruin anything, he did. And if she'd married Jeremy only to find all this out later, it would have destroyed her 10 times worse. At least now she can decide how to move forward with clarity. Still, Natalie's devastated. The wedding never happened. Jeremy is gone. Her life is wrecked. And some people blame me more than Greg. So, am I the a-hole for telling my daughter the full truth about why her wedding was ruined? Am I the a-hole for exposing my husband's secret family at his father's funeral? I, 36F, have been married to my husband, Derek, 39M, for 9 years. We've been together for almost 12. We have 2 kids, aged 7 and 4. I thought we had a stable marriage. Not perfect, and we've had our ups and downs, but nothing unusual. Or so I thought. Derek works in real estate and travels a lot for work. I never thought twice about his overnight trips to neighboring cities for conferences, client meetings, or property showings. He was always very communicative, texted me, called the kids, FaceTimed when he could. He never gave me any reason to doubt him. His family was always distant. I met his parents a few times early in our relationship, but he never brought me around them much. He said they were ultra-private and didn't like drama. His dad, David, was especially aloof, and I never felt welcome. After a while, I stopped trying. We had our own life, our own circle. Derek didn't talk much about his upbringing, said it was complicated. Again, I didn't push. A few months ago, David passed away. It was sudden and a heart attack. Derek was devastated. I encouraged him to go stay with his mom and help with the arrangements. He said it was going to be just family, and I wasn't needed there. I found that odd, but he was grieving, so I backed off. He left for 4 days and came back more exhausted than I'd ever seen him. He wouldn't talk about the funeral at all. He just said it was painful and weird and he wanted to move on, but then something strange happened. A week later, I was dropping off some clothes at the dry cleaners when I noticed a photo pinned to their bulletin board. You know, the kind of community boards with local events and missing pets. It was a candid photo of a family at a funeral. What caught my eye was Derek, standing next to a woman holding her hand. I froze. I stared at the photo, heart pounding. Derek was dressed in a black suit, looking somber, and beside him was a woman, maybe mid-30s, with dark red hair. She had her arm through his and her head on his shoulder. Standing next to her were 2 boys, maybe 8 and 6, and the sign above. The picture said, "Rest in peace, David K. Andrews, beloved father and grandfather." I thought I was hallucinating. I asked the lady behind the counter where the photo came from. She said someone from the funeral brought it in for printing and forgot to pick it up. That's all she knew. I didn't sleep that night. I waited until Derek was asleep and looked through his phone. I never do that. I've always trusted him, but I had to know. It didn't take long to find what I was dreading. He had an entire text thread with someone saved as Mari. Hundreds of messages. Flirty, familiar, intimate pictures. Not just sexy ones, family ones. One of the kids had drawn him a birthday card, "To the best dad in the world." I felt like the air had been sucked out of me. I went into full detective mode over the next 2 days. I created a burner social media account and searched every combination I could think of. Eventually I found her, Mariana Fields, divorced. 2 boys, lives in a nearby city, only 2 hours from us. Mutuals with some real estate agents Derek used to work with. The pieces clicked together in the most horrifying way possible. He'd been living a double life. He wasn't just cheating on me. He was playing house with another woman and her kids. He was dad to them. He had a toothbrush at their place. They had inside jokes, shared memories, family traditions, all while being husband and father to us. I didn't confront him right away. I needed more, so I kept watching. Waiting. He left on another overnight trip the following weekend. I drove to Mariana's house and parked down the street. He walked in like he belonged there. She greeted him with a kiss. The kids ran up to him yelling, "Dad!" and jumped into his arms. I sat in my car and screamed until my throat was raw. But I wasn't going to let him get away with this. I wasn't going to be the meek little wife who quietly filed for divorce while he played the grieving son and secret superhero dad. The opportunity came sooner than expected. Derek's mom organized a celebration of life service 2 weeks after the funeral opened to the community. Derek asked if I'd attend to support the family. He was nervous about it. I knew why. I told him yes, I'd be there, and I brought backup. I invited my sister, my cousin, and my best friend. All of them had been told everything. I told them to stay quiet and be ready. The service was beautiful, emotional. Dozens of people gathered. Derek gave a eulogy that had people in tears, And then I walked up to the mic. I introduced myself as Derek's wife, the mother of his 2 children. I thanked everyone for coming to honor David. And then I dropped the bomb. I said, I'd like to also take this moment to honor the other family David left behind, the family he didn't even know he had. The ones my husband Derek never told him about. My children, our children. Because while David was being introduced to 2 young boys as his only grandsons, my children were at home, crying for a grandfather they never got to meet. The room went dead silent. I pulled out a photo, one of Derek, Mariana, and her sons at the funeral, and held it up. People started gasping. Mariana, who was also there, stood up and yelled, "What the hell is this?" I turned to her and said, "Hi, I'm the woman who's been married to him for 9 years. Surprise." All hell broke loose. She stormed out. Derek tried to follow her, but I blocked him. People started whispering. Some started yelling. His mother fainted. Literally fainted. Derek's brother tried to get in my face, and my cousin stepped between us. I left before things got worse. Since then, it's been absolute chaos. Derek came home that night to find the locks changed. I already had a lawyer on standby. He's begging me to talk, says he was confused and lonely and never meant to hurt anyone. He claims he fell into the second family by accident, like it's a pothole. He says the kids over there aren't even biologically his. He just took on the role to help Mariana out. I don't care. He lied to me for years. He robbed my children of a real relationship with their grandparents. He lived a second life. And I exposed him. Publicly. Because why should I carry his shame? But now I'm getting blowback. Some of his extended family, mostly on his mom's side, say I was cruel and vindictive to bring it up at a memorial, that it wasn't the time or place, that I ruined the day for everyone, that I disrespected the dead. Even some friends say I should have waited. Gone through lawyers, made it private, but I don't regret it. My kids deserve to be seen, and Derek deserved to be unmasked in front of the people he lied to. Still, a part of me wonders if I was too brutal, if I should have just burned his world in private. So am I the a-hole for publicly exposing my husband's secret family at his father's funeral? Am I the a-hole for ruining my brother's wedding after what he did to my daughter? I, 38F, have one younger brother, Adam, 35M, and we used to be extremely close. When we were kids, our parents went through a nasty divorce, and we sort of leaned on each other during that time. I protected him from a lot of the mess and dysfunction, and I thought we had a bond that couldn't be broken. I was wrong. I had my daughter Lily, 16F, when I was 22. Her father didn't stay in the picture for long, so it's been me and her against the world since day one. I've worked hard to give her a good life, and she's an amazing kid. She's smart, kind, and has this wicked sense of humor. She's never given me a reason not to trust her. Adam, on the other hand, had a wild 20s. He was constantly between jobs, in and out of relationships, partying all the time. I bailed him out of more messes than I can count. I loaned him money I couldn't afford to lose. I let him crash on my couch when he got evicted. I even helped him get clean when he hit rock bottom at 28. I don't regret it, because he's my brother. But I do see now how one-sided our relationship has always been. Fast forward to a year ago. Adam meets this woman, Erica, 33F. She's beautiful, polished, and seems to have her life together. She's a lawyer, very into appearances, and makes a lot of money. At first, I was happy for him. He seemed smitten. But then I noticed he started acting different, more arrogant, like he suddenly thought he was better than everyone. He made snide remarks about me being a single mom forever, joked about me peaking at 22, and even started making fun of my job. I'm a high school English teacher, which I love. It was like Erica gave him permission to shed the loser skin and reinvent himself, and that meant leaving behind anything that didn't fit the new image. I let it go, mostly for Lily's sake. She adored Adam. He was like a second dad to her when she was little. They had a strong bond, and I didn't want to ruin that. I kept my distance from Erica, who clearly looked down on me, but I smiled at dinners, brought wine, laughed at her. Dry jokes. A few months ago, Adam and Erica got engaged and planned this huge, lavish wedding, destination wedding in Italy, 100+ guests, all expenses paid, except not really. I was told I'd have to pay for my own flight and hotel if I wanted to attend. Fair enough, I guess. But then I learned Lily wasn't even invited. I assumed it was a mistake. I called Adam, and he casually said, "Yeah, Erica and I decided—" No kids. I was stunned. Lily is 16. She's practically an adult. She's never acted out at any event. She was devastated. She cried for hours, kept asking what she did wrong. I tried to comfort her and told her it had nothing to do with her, but honestly, I was confused and angry. I asked Adam if we could make an exception. She's family, after all. And he snapped. He said Erica didn't want teenage drama, that Lily had weird vibes and makes people uncomfortable. I was speechless. He then said that Erica felt Lily was too intense and that her eyes are always watching you, judging. I was like, what the actual hell? Lily is quiet, yes. A little reserved around new people. But she is the sweetest, most observant, empathetic person I know. And even if she wasn't, she's family. I told Adam that if my daughter wasn't welcome, I wouldn't be coming either. He shrugged and said, "Do what you want." That was 3 months ago. Last week was the wedding. I stayed home with Lily, but I kept getting texts and updates from extended family, pictures of the venue, the dress, the food. It hurt, but I was glad I didn't go. Then, yesterday, I got a call from my cousin, who had way too much wine at the reception and decided to spill everything. Apparently, during the rehearsal dinner, Erica made some extremely inappropriate jokes about dodging the bullet of having a moody teenager ruin her photos. Adam laughed. My name was mentioned multiple times in mocking ways. They even joked that I was probably at home with my future school shooter daughter, watching reruns of Grey's Anatomy. My cousin said she was shocked and uncomfortable, but everyone else just laughed. I lost it. I went online and made a post. Not naming names, but I told the whole story. I talked about how my daughter was excluded from a family wedding because she didn't look right in pictures. I talked about how hurt she was. I described the jokes, the way we were talked about, and the utter cruelty behind it. The post went viral in our extended family group and then leaked beyond. People knew who it was about. Now Adam and Erica are furious. They're saying I hijacked their wedding, that I humiliated them in front of everyone, that I twisted things and made them sound evil. Erica sent me a long message saying I was jealous and bitter and that she had every right to curate her perfect day. Adam said I'm dead to him. He blocked me. Most of our family is split. Some think I was justified. Others think I should have just stayed quiet and taken the high road. Lily knows what happened and hugged me tight when she read the post. She said, "Thanks for standing up for me, Mom." That made it worth it. But still, I can't stop replaying everything. Did I go too far? So, am I the a-hole for exposing what my brother and his wife said about my daughter and ruining their wedding in the process? Am I the a-hole for ruining my brother's wedding after what he did to my daughter? I, 38F, have one younger brother, Adam, 35M. And we used to be extremely close. When we were kids, our parents went through a nasty divorce, and we sort of leaned on each other during that time. I protected him from a lot of the mess and dysfunction, and I thought we had a bond that couldn't be broken. I was wrong. I had my daughter Lily, 16F, when I was 22. Her father didn't stay in the picture for long, so it's been me and her against the world since day one. I've worked hard to give her a good life, and she's an amazing kid. She's smart, kind, and has this wicked sense of humor. She's never given me a reason not to trust her. Adam, on the other hand, had a wild 20s. He was constantly between jobs, in and out of relationships, partying all the time. I bailed him out of more messes than I can count. I loaned him money I couldn't afford to lose. I let him crash on my couch when he got evicted. I even helped him get clean when he hit rock bottom at 28. I don't regret it, because he's my brother. But I do see now how one-sided our relationship has always been. Fast forward to a year ago. Adam meets this woman, Erica, 33F. She's beautiful, polished, and seems to have her life together. She's a lawyer, very into appearances, and makes a lot of money. At first, I was happy for him. He seemed smitten. But then I noticed he started acting different, more arrogant, like he suddenly thought he was better than everyone. He made snide remarks about me being a single mom forever, joked about me peaking at 22, and even started making fun of my job. I'm a high school English teacher, which I love. It was like Erica gave him permission to shed the loser skin and reinvent himself, and that meant leaving behind anything that didn't fit the new image. I let it go, mostly for Lily's sake. She adored Adam. He was like a second dad to her when she was little. They had a strong bond, and I didn't want to ruin that. I kept my distance from Erica, who clearly looked down on me, but I smiled at dinners, brought wine, laughed at her. Dry jokes. A few months ago, Adam and Erica got engaged and planned this huge, lavish wedding, destination wedding in Italy, 100+ guests, all expenses paid, except not really. I was told I'd have to pay for my own flight and hotel if I wanted to attend. Fair enough, I guess. But then I learned Lily wasn't even invited. I assumed it was a mistake. I called Adam, and he casually said, "Yeah, Erica and I decided." No kids. I was stunned. Lily is 16, she's practically an adult. She's never acted out at any event. She was devastated. She cried for hours, kept asking what she did wrong. I tried to comfort her and told her it had nothing to do with her, but honestly, I was confused and angry. I asked Adam if we could make an exception. She's family, after all. And he snapped. He said Erica didn't want teenage drama, that Lily had weird vibes and makes people uncomfortable. I was speechless. He then said that Erica felt Lily was too intense and that her eyes are always watching you, judging. I was like, what the actual hell? Lily is quiet, yes. A little reserved around new people. But she is the sweetest, most observant, empathetic person I know. And even if she wasn't, she's family. I told Adam that if my daughter wasn't welcome, I wouldn't be coming either. He shrugged and said, "Do what you want." That was 3 months ago. Last week was the wedding. I stayed home with Lily, but I kept getting texts and updates from extended family, pictures of the venue, the dress, the food. It hurt, but I was glad I didn't go. Then, yesterday, I got a call from my cousin, who had way too much wine at the reception and decided to spill everything. Apparently, during the rehearsal dinner, Erica made some extremely inappropriate jokes about dodging the bullet of having a moody teenager ruin her photos. Adam laughed. My name was mentioned multiple times in mocking ways. They even joked that I was probably at home with my future school shooter daughter, watching reruns of Grey's Anatomy. My cousin said she was shocked and uncomfortable, but everyone else just laughed. I lost it. I went online and made a post. Not naming names, but I told the whole story. I talked about how my daughter was excluded from a family wedding because she didn't look right in pictures. I talked about how hurt she was. I described the jokes, the way we were talked about, and the utter cruelty behind it. The post went viral in our extended family group and then leaked beyond. People knew who it was about. Now Adam and Erica are furious. They're saying I hijacked their wedding, that I humiliated them in front of everyone, that I twisted things and made them sound evil. Erica sent me a long message saying I was jealous and bitter and that she had every right to curate her perfect day. Adam said I'm dead to him. He blocked me. Most of our family is split. Some think I was justified. Others think I should have just stayed quiet and taken the high road. Lily knows what happened and hugged me tight when she read the post. She said, "Thanks for standing up for me, Mom." That made it worth it. But still, I can't stop replaying everything. Did I go too far? So, am I the a-hole for exposing what my brother and his wife said about my daughter and ruining their wedding in the process?